Have you ever noticed every time you look in the mirror in the morning, your hair looks just a little bit thinner? Maybe you run your fingers gently through your hair and found a few strands resting quietly in your palm. Then you quietly fold up your comb, pretending not to notice, but deep down, you feel a bit of sadness, a bit of worry, a bit of confusion. I understand that feeling. One of my former patients, a woman in her 60s, a retired high school teacher, once told me during a consultation, "I don't care much about the wrinkles, but every time I see my hair falling out, I feel like I'm losing a part of myself." Have you ever felt that way? Hair isn't just strands of keratin growing from your scalp. It's tied to how we see ourselves, to memories of our youth, to that feeling of being cared for, of still being you. And the sad truth is, once we cross into our 50s, our hair enters a new chapter, too. It becomes thinner, weaker, and falls out more easily. Why does that happen? From a medical perspective, there are several reasons. After middle age, the hormones in our body, like estrogen in women and testosterone in men, begin to decline. And those very hormones play a key role in keeping hair follicles healthy. Blood circulation also slows down, meaning the scalp isn't getting as much nourishment. On top of that, we may lack vital nutrients like iron, zinc, vitamin D, or biotin, the building blocks for healthy hair. And let's not forget the medications many people take daily: blood pressure meds, diabetes meds. They can silently affect hair growth without us even realizing it. There's also one more thing I see often in older adults: stress. It's not just a young person's problem. Loneliness, changes in the family, or that heavy feeling of not being needed anymore, all of that can slowly make hair fall out, like leaves at the end of the season. But you know what? Here's the good news. Your hair is not out of hope. There are natural ways, no drugs, no harsh chemicals, that I've seen make a real difference in many older patients. Simple methods, but surprisingly powerful. They help hair begin to grow back, little by little, from the very places it once fell. And right now, I want to share with you 5 of those methods. So let's begin this small journey together. A journey to nourish your hair from the root. And maybe, just maybe, to rediscover a part of yourself that was once vibrant and still is just waiting to be awakened. Have you ever brushed your hair and suddenly stopped, realizing that you were holding more strands in your hand than usual? Not just once, but day after day, and you start to wonder, is something changing with my hair? I remember one of my patients, Mr. Bill, 67 years old, living in Oregon. During our first appointment, he gently held his wool beanie in his hands and smiled. "My hair is falling out so much that this hat isn't for warmth anymore. It's just to cover up what's no longer there." He didn't say it with sadness. It was more of a casual remark. But I could tell, behind that gentle smile was a very real sense of loss. Hair is part of the self-image we carry throughout our lives. When it starts to thin, it can feel like part of our youth, part of our identity, is slowly slipping away, too. And if you're in your 60s, 70s, or older, and you're starting to notice that, you are not alone. There's something I often tell my patients. Caring for your hair isn't just about using the right shampoo. It's about taking care of your scalp, because that's where every strand of hair begins. Just imagine, if your hair is like a plant, then your scalp is the soil. And over time, that soil ages too. When we're young, blood circulates under the scalp very well. But as we get older, that process slows down. Less blood flow means fewer nutrients delivered to the hair follicles. And when the nutrients aren't enough, hair becomes thin, weak, and begins to fall out. That's why one of the most natural, simple, yet powerful methods you can do is scalp massage. Every day, I had a female patient, Joanne, 62 years old. She used to believe that thinning hair was just something she had to accept. But after trying one small thing, massaging her scalp for 10 minutes every evening, after just 3 months, her hair was noticeably thicker and stronger. She called it her quiet moment of the day, with soft lights in her bedroom, gently rubbing her scalp with her fingertips. It was both a form of self-care and a kind of meditation. And you know what? The results came from something incredibly simple: improving blood circulation. When you massage your scalp, you're sending a message to your body. Bring the blood and the nutrients up here. And your body responds. The blood vessels in your scalp expand, blood flow increases, and your follicles finally start getting the food they need: oxygen, vitamins, minerals, and protein. That's why many studies show that regular scalp massage can extend the hair's growth cycle, reduce shedding, and even stimulate new growth. And the technique? It's incredibly simple. You can use your fingertips, gently pressing into the scalp in small, circular motions. Don't use your nails. Let the soft pads of your fingers connect with your scalp, gently but firmly. Start at the forehead, move toward the back of your neck, then out to the sides. Just 5 to 10 minutes a day. Ideally in the evening, when you're relaxed and getting ready for bed. If you like, you can add natural oils like virgin coconut oil or rosemary oil. They help your fingers glide more smoothly and offer added nourishment for the scalp, plus they support hair growth. Many of my patients have told me that after a few weeks, they didn't just feel their hair getting stronger, they were sleeping better, too, as if those 10 gentle minutes help quiet so much of what they've been carrying all day long. I didn't come to this method by reading articles online. I've seen it work, not once, but hundreds of times, over more than 20 years of working with older adults. The important thing isn't how you massage. It's that you do it regularly. Just like watering a small plant every day. Not a lot, but consistently. Hair is the same. It needs time. It needs patience. And most of all, it needs you to believe that, no matter your age, your hair can be revived if you care for it the right way. So tonight, I want you to try this. Turn off the lights. Sit still. Give yourself 10 minutes. No phone. No stress. Just you and your hair. And tomorrow, we'll continue with another natural method. The next step in your journey to nourish your hair from the root. Because you deserve that, not just for your hair, but for the feeling of loving yourself again. When it comes to hair, we usually think about shampoo, serums, or expensive hair transplant treatments. But did you know? Hair is a lot like a plant. If you want to grow strong, the roots need to be nourished from the inside. I still remember one of my patients, Mrs. Eleanor, 67 years old, once asked me, "Is there any kind of pill that can help my hair grow back quickly, doctor?" I smiled and asked her, "What did you have for breakfast today?" She looked a bit surprised by the question. But diet is actually the very first thing I pay attention to whenever someone asks about thinning hair or hair loss. Because hair needs raw materials to grow, and those materials aren't anything fancy. They're right there on our plates, every single day. Take eggs, for example, something so simple, yet a nutritional powerhouse for hair. The yolk contains biotin, a B vitamin that boosts keratin production. Keratin being the main protein that makes up your hair. And the egg white, it's packed with pure protein that helps nourish the hair follicles from within. Just one boiled egg in the morning, simple, easy to digest, and incredibly effective. And salmon? That's one of the foods I often recommend older patients include in their meals at least once or twice a week. Salmon is soft, easy to chew, easy to absorb, and rich in omega-3 and vitamin D. Two nutrients that are crucial for reducing scalp inflammation and improving blood flow to the hair roots. If you're not a fan of fresh fish, canned salmon works too. You can mix it into porridge or soup. Do you enjoy nuts? Try pumpkin seeds or almonds. These tiny foods pack a punch. They're full of zinc and iron, which helps strengthen hair follicles and reduce hair loss caused by micronutrient deficiencies. But for older adults, I usually suggest grinding them or soaking them beforehand for easy digestion and prevent bloating or chewing discomfort. Dark leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard are often overlooked, yet they're rich in folate and iron. If raw greens feel hard to digest, try lightly steaming them, sautéing them with a bit of olive oil, or tossing them into a soup. They're easy on the stomach and still full of essential nutrients. And finally, avocado, a beautiful gift from nature. Avocados are packed with vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that protects the scalp from aging and helps keep hair moisturized. Just picture a smooth, creamy slice of avocado at breakfast, delicious and perfect for that lovely silver hair of yours. Now, I know not everyone has the same taste, but if you can just pick a few foods you enjoy and add them to your weekly meals, you'll start to notice your hair slowly coming back to life. You don't have to change the whole world. Just change a few things on your plate each day, and that alone can make a big difference. So, are you ready to open the fridge with a new perspective? Your hair, just like your heart, your legs, or your eyes, needs to be nourished with love. through the simple meals you give yourself every day. I want you to picture this. Your strands of hair are like little plants growing out of the ground, and your scalp, that's the soil. When your scalp is healthy, elastic, firm, and with good blood circulation, your hair can grow strong and steady. And collagen is the very thing that keeps that soil firm, elastic, and fresh. As we age, our body's natural ability to produce collagen starts to decline. This doesn't just affect the skin on your face. It also makes your scalp thinner and weaker, which directly impacts the health of your hair follicles. One gentle, natural way to support this process is by getting collagen through your everyday food. And you don't need anything fancy. Chances are, you already have what you need right in your kitchen. Bone broth, especially from marrow bones, is an excellent source of collagen. You can simmer it until it's clear and easy to digest, and add a few slices of ginger to warm the stomach. Fatty fish, especially salmon and basa, are also rich in collagen. Plus, they're soft, easy to chew, and ideal for older adults. Egg whites, as simple as they may seem, contain a high amount of glycine, an amino acid that helps your body produce collagen. And don't forget about berries, like strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. Not only are they beautiful to look at, they're rich in vitamin C, which boosts collagen synthesis. If chewing, digestion, or eating enough of these foods feels like a challenge, I often recommend my older patients try collagen peptides in powder form. They're odorless, dissolve easily into warm water, tea, or porridge. Just 1 to 2 small scoops a day is enough. I remember a 75-year-old lady once told me that after taking powdered collagen every morning for 3 months, her hair wasn't just falling out less. It actually felt softer and shinier again. I thought that was something I left behind in my youth, she said with a gentle smile. Hair is a marker of time, but sometimes all it takes is giving your body the right ingredients, and time itself becomes a little kinder to your hair. You know, I once sat across from a 63-year-old man, a former construction engineer, with noticeably thinning hair at both temples. He gave a faint smile and said, "Doc, I figured my hair was falling out because of age, but the more I worry, the more it seems to fall, like leaves at the end of autumn." I looked at him and replied gently, "That's something many people overlook. But stress, it doesn't just make your heart beat faster. It makes your hair fall quietly, one strand at a time. Have you ever felt that? Waking up in the middle of the night, your mind racing with thoughts about your kids, your work, your health, and then in the morning, you look in the mirror, and your hair looks just a little thinner, and then thinner again the next day, not because of age, but because your mind hasn't truly rested in a long time. I've read plenty of studies, but honestly, clinical experience shows it even more clearly. Chronic stress, week after week, month after month, raises your cortisol levels, and that disrupts your body's natural hair growth cycle. Hair doesn't stay with you as long as it used to, but what gives me hope is this: you can do something about it. And sometimes that something is surprisingly small. One of my patients, Mrs. Ruth, 68 years old, recently widowed, started her mornings with just 5 minutes of deep breathing. She'd sit by the window, place her hand over her chest, close her eyes, and just breathe. After 2 months, her hair was still thin, but she said something I'll never forget. "I'm no longer afraid of seeing my hair fall, because I've started living slower, and it feels like my hair has stopped leaving me so quickly." I'm not telling you to meditate like a monk or sleep 10 hours a night, but if you can take a 15-minute walk in the afternoon, if you can turn off your phone an hour before bed, if you can just breathe deeply for 5 minutes a day, your body will thank you, and maybe your hair will, too. I want you to imagine this. You wake up on a crisp autumn morning, walk into the bathroom, and start your daily routine. You grab your usual bottle of shampoo, scrub thoroughly like always, then reach for that old hairbrush and run it forcefully through, because your hair is just too tangled. All of that, you might think it's normal, but for hair that's already weakening with age, it's like forcing a dry twig to bend. I once asked a 55-year-old woman who worked in finance, "Do you dye your hair often?" She laughed and said, "Every month. I have to cover the grays, doctor." And I get it. Everyone wants to look youthful. But what I always remind my patients is this: chemicals don't care how old you are. They only do what they're designed to do. Break down your hair's structure. Dyeing, perming, straightening, relaxing. They all make your hair dry, porous, and prone to breakage, especially when your hair is already thinning with age. So does that mean you have to stop caring for your hair? No. It just means you need to care for it differently. Using a wide tooth comb, it might sound simple, but it keeps your hair from being pulled too hard when it's still wet. Blow drying? Avoid high heat, because your hair no longer has as many protective layers as it used to. And what I emphasize the most, choose a sulfate-free shampoo, one that doesn't lather too much. Look for ingredients like aloe vera, tea tree oil, or jojoba oil. They're far gentler on an aging scalp. One of my patients was shocked when, after just 3 weeks of cutting out alcohol-based hair gels, she stopped seeing clumps of hair falling out during every wash. Her hair didn't grow back overnight, but at least it stopped giving up on her. You see, sometimes the answer isn't about adding more. It's about removing what's quietly been hurting you all along. I often get very real, very human questions, and today I want to answer them as honestly as I can, as if we were sitting together, sharing a cup of tea, and you were finally saying out loud the worry you've been carrying silently. The first question: I'm 70 years old. Can my hair still grow back? I understand why you'd ask that, because when you stand in front of the mirror and see your hair thinning day by day, you might quietly think to yourself, maybe this body has run out of hope. But I want you to hear this clearly from someone who has walked alongside hundreds of older patients. Your hair might not come back like it did when you were 30, but it can recover in its own way, in its own time. I once worked with a retired school teacher, 72 years old. She used to call her hair threads about to vanish. We started simple. She switched to a gentler shampoo, got more sleep, added more greens to her meals, and stopped dyeing her hair every month. 3 months later, she didn't say, "Doctor, my hair's growing back." She said, "Doctor, I feel life returning to my scalp." Sometimes, the first change doesn't happen on your head, but in how you see yourself. The second question: do anti-hair loss shampoos actually work? The honest answer? Yes, but not like a miracle. Many shampoos today are heavily advertised, but most of them simply clean gently, reduce scalp irritation, and create better conditions for hair to grow. They are not magic potions. If you're hoping that switching shampoos will suddenly make your hair grow like grass after rain, you'll probably be disappointed. But if you understand this, a gentle, sulfate-free shampoo that protects your scalp, paired with a healthy lifestyle, then you're on the right track. And the last question: how long does it take to see results from natural methods? Usually within 6 to 12 weeks. You'll start to notice small changes. Less hair falling, less dryness, less itching or scalp irritation. But to really see new hair growing, it might take 3 months, sometimes even 6. I know, in today's world, waiting is hard. We're used to speed. Press a button and get instant results. But your body doesn't work that way. Hair reflects your overall health, and health always takes time, patience, and a little bit of faith. I always tell my patients this: your hair didn't fall out overnight, so don't expect it to grow back in a week. Choose something more lasting than speed. Choose gentleness. Choose patience. Choose to care for your body in a way that's kind, steady, and true. So we just walked through 5 natural, gentle, but incredibly practical ways to support healthier hair as we age. We talk about stress and how just 5 minutes of deep breathing a day can reset your body's rhythm. We talked about avoiding harsh chemicals and caring for your hair gently, so you stop damaging the strands you still have. We explored hair-friendly foods, nothing fancy, just the right choices made consistently. We mentioned natural collagen, something your body can still activate if you care for it the right way. And finally, a good night's sleep, a calm mind, things that seem simple, but truly form the foundation of everything. I want you to remember this clearly. Your hair might never go back to what it was when you were 20, but it can absolutely become stronger, fuller, healthier, and help you feel more confident every single day. I've seen it happen, not in a week, but over months, through the quiet persistence of people who decided to make small, meaningful changes. If something in today's video spoke to you, If you found these insights helpful, then I invite you to hit that subscribe button, because every week we'll meet right here to keep learning how to live healthier, happier, and more peacefully, no matter your age. Hair is not just about appearance. It's your body's quiet way of saying, I can still heal. Just give me time. See you in the next video. And don't forget, age is just a number. Vitality can always be awakened